In this video, we're going to talk about my favorite pieces of everyday tech that I use both inside the house and outside the house. We're going to talk about everything from 3D printers to vacuum cleaners. So grab a cup of coffee or your favorite beverage, sit down, relax, and let me take you through my favorite everyday tech in 2024. If this is your first time here, I just want to say hi. Hope everything is well with you and that you're going to have a good time. I hope you're going to have a good time. Some of you might have seen the video where I rewired my entire previous studio and just filled it with UniFi stuff and UniFi Protect stuff. This changed my entire life when it comes to network. Previously, I've been one of those guys that just had like a router and then just switch upon switch upon switch upon switch and then just hoping that everything worked. But ever since I switched to UniFi, I actually realized how cool and awesome networking can be. I'm gonna make a different video where we dive a little bit deeper into the whole UniFi networking setup process. But when it comes to streamlining your network, I haven't experienced anything else that works just as smooth as UniFi's system. One of the things that I like the most with UniFi's setup is that it all works through the app. So if you got the UniFi app on your phone and you have a new product from UniFi that you want to set up, you just connect it to your router or to your switch or whatever it is that you got, and then it's gonna pop up in your app and then you can adopt it and sort of like integrate it into the network seamlessly. And the way that this works is so freaking genius compared to anything else. It's kind of the same principle as when you're using an iPhone and you just, you're transferring your data from one iPhone to the other and it just works. That is the same kind of feeling that I have with UniFi and their entire setup. And the cool thing is that they also have Protect devices. Previously, I was using Arlo, which is also a great setup, but one of the biggest downsides with Arlo is that you gotta pay a monthly fee. And I'm not a huge fan of subscriptions. So when you invest into the UniFi Protect system, you kind of delete that subscription fee all in all because you're purchasing the hardware instead to a little bit more expensive price. The cool thing with these cameras is that they are so freaking good in both daylight, but also during the night. When I'm saying that they perform good both during the night and during the day, this is not what I mean, because this is the AI Pro camera and it has an attached module to it. The light that I got shining on me right now is a floodlight that I have attached to the AI Pro, which is also powered by the same Ethernet cable that goes into the camera. So it's sort of like an extension that you can add on to the camera, which is sick because then you don't need an extra outlet in order to have this light glowing up during the night. But let me show you how it performs during the night. When you're just looking at the night vision, this is what it looks like. And I don't know about you, but I feel like it's actually very, very good. The ring spins whenever it records motion. So this camera and this camera kind of recognizes when something is moving and it starts spinning and it starts recording, which also shows the burglars or the people that are not welcome here that, hey, you're being recorded. And when we were building the house, like everything had to be planned because I didn't want to have any sort of exterior cables going to the cameras. But the cool thing is that they all powered through Ethernet. So there's only one cable that is needed to power each of those devices all the time. And the UniFi Protect units that I use is the AI Pro, which is a freaking amazing camera. We have it on the driveway. So as soon as you pull up with your car, it reads out the license plate. And as soon as you exit your car, it like logs your actual face and then it saves it so that you can go in and see who's actually been here, like which car has been here, how many times has it been here. So if someone were to drive up here, during the night, then that saves the registration number. And then if they go out, well, it's gonna be like, now I see you. I also have a couple of G5 Pros around the house, and then I have the Protect doorbell, both here on the garage, but also on the house. And looking at the doorbell, you can see right here that when I get close, it lights up here in the bottom, but it also says, "Welcome, my kind sir." It just says welcome, but this doorbell also has a very good camera built into it. I think it's 1080p, but I really like the fact that you're able to see both here and also down here. That's pretty dope. So if you're looking to upgrade your network or find a solution that is just freaking amazing to work with, can highly recommend UBIQUITI and UniFi. So freaking good. The next piece of tech is something that I've used for the last 6 years, and that was actually when I first started to invest into it, and that is Philips Hue. What are we going to turn on today? Maybe like Singapore? Huh? A little bit of Sao Paulo. It's actually pretty cool to be able to do this with your exterior lights. Not that I use it that often. I just love the fact that you're able to control the lights of the entire house with one single app. You might be thinking, well, Philips Hue is freaking expensive, and I agree. But for me at least, they have been performing so freaking well. I have not once had an issue with a Philips Hue unit, and that is like 6 years in. But I was even using the same Philips Hue bridge that I purchased 6 years ago, and it still works just fine. So the entire garage is connected to Philips Hue. So let's go into the Philips Hue app and then choose garage ceiling. There you can see the ceiling lights behind me here. I'm just gonna choose turn off. There we go. And then we're gonna go back. We're gonna turn off the film lights. It's like, see this? Huh? So the rest that we got is pretty much just this LED strip that is going up here. Turn everything off. Pretty cool, right? My favorite light is probably gonna be the LED strips, mainly because I think that they give you so much ambiance into the shots. If we go into the workbench here, we can choose light strip workbench, and then I can adjust to make it look different in multiple different colors. That's pretty cool, right? But this is also something that you can't do with the old versions of the LED strip. It's something that you only can do with the newer ones. So if you're looking into buying Philips Hue, check out the link in the description and you're gonna get to the right place. Another question I've gotten is how I connected my NAN lights. For example, you can see this light right here is not a Philips Hue. It's actually a NAN light, 60 watts, but this is connected through that smart plug right there. So if I wanna make sure that I turn just that light off, I go to the garage film lights and then I choose the rim light, turn it on, boof. And the same thing actually goes over here as well at the desk, where the main light or the key light is connected to a separate smart plug, and the top-down shot is also connected to a separate smart plug, and one of them connected right in the outlet that I got in the ceiling. And that was one of the things that I tried to plan when I was building the entire thing. I wanted everything to be easy to control and basically have the feeling that I don't need to adjust anything when I want to record a video. And that is where I think that Philips Hue is one of those great things, because I've never had any single issue in 6 years, and it just works when it's intended to work, and it gives you this nice light. When it comes to flickering, like if you're recording a B-roll with a camera, you can see like in this video, I'll be shooting 100 FPS, no flickering, except for this logo back here. If I were to shoot this in 100, it's gonna flicker. But it's also gonna provide you with a lot of good options for when it comes to shooting videos, but also running your entire home from afar. For example, when we go on a vacation, then I can control the lights, I can set different automations, I can make sure that the lights are not turning on or off during the night or day or whatever it might be. It just runs so freaking smooth, and it makes this entire garage and my home feel so freaking cozy whenever you set different scenarios, so that you never basically want to leave. Next thing, one of the most important things for us dudes out there is gonna be the Roborock S8 Ultra Plus Max. Hang on. Roborock S8 Pro. Roborock S8 Pro Ultra, not the Pro Max W Ultra or whatever it's called. See, when we moved into this house, one of the first things that I started to think of was, oh my God, this is gonna be like thrice the size. Did you say thrice? Three times the size to clean than what we had in our previous apartment. Like, I don't want to clean every single day with a vacuum cleaner. So of course I discussed with my fiance, and we kind of like came to the conclusion that yes, we should absolutely invest in our first robot vacuum. So I went online, checked a bunch of different reviews, as we usually do. I mean, like, I'm a tech YouTuber, but I still go online and start to read up. And then I bought the Roborock S8 Pro Max Ultra, not Pro Max. No, Yeah, and we've been using it now ever since we moved in back in April. And I gotta say, like, this thing has saved me so much time. It is one of the absolute best purchases that I have done in my adult life, I'd say. I named him Megatron. I know, you'd probably say like, Peter, you freaking nerd. And I know, that's the fun part of it, because everything, like all the smart tech that I got is named after Transformers or something in the Transformers universe. For example, the hybrid inverter that is connected to solar panels, his name is Unicron. And Unicron is sort of like the god of all beings. And then my house in the Tibber app is actually called Cybertron. Huh? One of the reasons that I decided to go for this Roborock in particular is because it doesn't have a camera. And it also empties itself. It fills up with fresh water when it's going to mop. It's drinking. And it cleans them up and puts the dirty water here. And there's actually kind of a lot of dirty water that gets gathered here. And first I was like, well, you sure it's really dirty? But looking at it, ugh. It might sound a little bit paranoid, but I didn't want to have a camera on the robot just in case someone were to hack it or gain access to it. I don't want to have a camera driving around my freaking house when I'm walking around there naked with my dong flying around. There was a couple of times where it couldn't go back to the dock, where I was like, well, what is going on here? Is it already broken? But it also has this high-speed brush that is washing the mop every single time that it's been out mopping. It goes back and then it's like... And that brush in and by itself had gotten stuck like in the middle, exactly where the front wheel of the robot is, and then the robot couldn't dock. So when I moved that to the side, there was no issues again. But that is the only issue that I've had with that. It has something that's called a dynamic lift. So when it goes up onto a carpet, it sort of like lifts up and then also pushes higher suction power. And I have a lot of carpets here in the studio, but we also have a lot of carpets in our house. And it does a brilliant job just powering through those carpets. And you can actually choose if it's going to do this like, you know, crosshatch pattern on the carpet or if it's just going to go once. It does require a lot more battery if you choose the crosshatch, but it also gives you a lot cleaner carpets. We have scheduled ours to start at like 9 a.m. every single day, just vacuum the entire thing. And then we have on Friday, it just goes out, mops the entire house, vacuums it, does the crosshatch, and then it's done. It does not work that well when it comes to corners, of course, because the robot is round. But I would say like just pulling out a vacuum cleaner to do a little bit in the corners is totally fine by me if everything else is just spotless. Like you can divide different rooms in the app as well. So for example, in our case, we have divided like the kitchen and the living room, even though they have like this open area in between them. But that helps to make the cleaning easier, because if you have a lot of stuff, for example, in the living room, then you can set it so that it starts in the kitchen and then you can move everything else over to the kitchen once it's done, and then it can start clean in the living room. I feel like this is gonna be a long video, but on to the next. Bambu Labs 3D printer. Do I have a lot to say about this? The 3D printer that I'm using is a Bambu Labs X1E. It is one of the absolute coolest things that I have got in my entire arsenal. And it's also one of the things that has helped me so freaking much in my career, because without being able to actually have that, I wouldn't actually be able to create this product, which is the Tri-Charge. This is a battery charger for camera batteries. So if you're shooting Sony, Nikon, Lumix, Fuji, what is the last one? Sony, Nikon, Lumix, Fuji, Canon. Yeah, that's it. Then this will charge all three batteries at once. And it all started with a 3D printer, like an idea where I wanted to have a holster for my camera batteries. And then I reached out to UPO. We started working on this project, and now we have this real physical product, which is the Tri-Charge. But if we put this aside, then the coolest thing with 3D printer is that anything you can imagine, you can create. Something I've been noticing lately is that our beds, which is basically two mattresses, they are kind of like moving apart when you sleep in them. Sleeping. And that is because there's nothing that sort of like clamps the beds together. A good old tumstock
That side, that's gonna be 10 centimeters. And then the height is gonna be around 5.
10 wide and 5 high. We're gonna print a profile. Huh? Take a look at this. Perfect angle to put on the bed. Let's see if it fits. 2 screws. Got the perfect screws. You'll see the moment of truth.
Perfect freaking fit.
Beds can no longer slide apart. Yet another problem solved with a 3D printer. I also want to show you this because everything behind the TV here, for example, this mount for the Nintendo Switch and the Apple TV mount is also designed and 3D printed by me. So I made sure that everything can fit behind the TV so that when you're looking at the TV, you can't see any cords to anything. There's just so many things that you can do with the 3D printer that you couldn't do before. For example, we had the electricians putting in the hybrid inverter for the solar panels. And then he was doing like the cable management all the way around up until this point right here. But this last piece is actually designed and 3D printed by me to cover the last small piece of the cord. I've also 3D printed these brackets that keeps the actual, what do you call this? In Sweden we say bänkskiva. And last week I bought a Sonos beam, which we are going to jump into very soon, that I connected to the TV so that I can have the entire Sonos as my surround system. The thing was that they didn't have the wall mount in stock. So what did I do? Well, if we go down under, you can see that it's a 3D printed Sonos wall mount that I designed and printed while actually doing a live stream on YouTube. So if you missed that, you should probably check the notifications a little bit more or give this video a thumbs up. These Nerf guns, well, what are they hanging on? Oh, 3D printed hooks. This wall mount for the ball joint head, remote holder for the air conditioning unit, the brackets to keep my MacBook Pro in place, the hooks under the desk, yours truly. I mean, I've printed so many different things right now so that I can't show you all the different things, but this one that keeps up my SanDisk Pro Blade station, 3D printed, designed by me. If you're new to 3D printing, it might be a little bit hard to understand all the different things and where you should begin, but I would say that you could download the trial for Fusion 360 if you want to start designing your own things in 3D, and then just play around with it. Try different things, try to carve out like a bowl or whatever. There's so many different things that you can do in that program. And that is actually the program that I use to design my stuff as well. And the program that I use to actually create the TriCharge as well. But when you're designing stuff for 3D printing specifically, then you need to think about which way the layers are gonna go, like how strong is the infill gonna be, how is it gonna be able to print, like what is the angles that you can be able to print in. If you take a look at this, for example, you can see that the 45-degree angle is perfect, but if I were to go steeper on that angle, it would just like print in the air, so that wouldn't work. The one thing that baffles me the most about 3D printing is how it hasn't been blowing up more than what it actually has. It should be like on everyone's desk, like a 3D printer. I'm gonna drop a link in the description so you can head over, you can check out Bambu Labs. They have some freaking amazing 3D printers and they are so easy to use. Like, just like UniFi is the Apple of networking, I'm gonna say the Bambu Labs is sort of like the Apple of 3D printing. It is that simple. Okay, I mentioned it, but I didn't really dive into it, but Sonos. I can't tell you the amount of times that I put on some heavy ass music, rip out a freaking nice chest workout, sit on the iron horse and just pedal away for 20 minutes and then feel motivated to take on the day. The speakers in and by themselves are, in my opinion, really good. I do like how they look. I think the design is great. They fit in basically everywhere, but they also sound very full and bassy and trebly. Like the overall speaker is very good. But the app, ever since they updated the app, it has been not as good. It's like the biggest drawback with Sonos right now is the app. So I invested into the system when the app was really good, and now it's gotten worse. But I do think that Sonos will hopefully update the app and make it better. For what I do here in the studio, for example, when I put on music, I use it as a surround system for the TV. It just works really nice. And I really do like that you can pair up different speakers and turn them into stereo pairs. And then you have the subs, which gives it this like, it's very hard to show you in the video, but it's like, The app could be incredibly improved. The final thing is going to be the SmartWings blinds. These blinds has saved us this summer. One of the absolute best things with where we've decided to build our house is the amount of sun that we get during the day. But it also comes with one downside, and that is that it gets incredibly hot inside if you don't have anything on the windows. So during the summer, the sun rises there and then it goes all the way and sets down there. Now when I'm recording this, it's supposedly set somewhere around here, and then it just moves all the way back December, and then it moves back again. And some of you might be thinking like, wait, what? The sun moves like that? Well, yeah, it's because I'm in the northern hemisphere. And in the northern hemisphere, the sun moves in different directions depending on the season of the year. So when we moved in April, I decided to put an air condition into the house, which has been freaking great. Because in May, we had peak temperatures of like 32 degrees outside. And I would not be able to sleep if we didn't have the AC. But even though we have the AC, it doesn't remove the actual fact that the windows get hot from the sun. And that is where these blinds from SmartWings come into play, because they remove so much heat from the sun during the afternoons and evenings. So like if you touch them, they're incredibly hot. And that is because they're basically acting like a shield and absorbs the heat instead of the glass absorbing the heat. One of the questions that I got when I posted a Instagram story of these was if they work well when it's windy outside. If you look here, we have a lot of wind coming in from over here, but you basically have this wire that is going from all the way up here and then down to this mount where the entire blind is attached, so it can't get anywhere. So when it's windy outside, you can still have them down. If there's like a storm, then yeah, you probably should have them up. But all in all, I'm super satisfied with these. The motors that I have is Matter connected, so I can connect them to my Apple Home system and control them through there. But what I like the most about them is that they actually look good, and they're powered through solar panels that is attached right here, and I don't have to care about going out to actually pull them down. I just press the remote and that's it. You can choose between different openness on the actual blind itself, but also the length, the width of the blind, but also what kind of motor that you want to have in the actual blind. So if you want to have an Alexa motor or you want to have a Matter motor, it's all up to you. You can pick and choose the multiple different things. You also have a couple of different remotes that you can choose from. And I decided to go for the black Helix dial remote, mainly because it looks good. And it also feels incredibly good because it has this so when you turn it, you can adjust, fine tune the amount of blind that you want to be down or up, depending on your preference. And they've been working so freaking well to blot out the sun and make it more bearable when the sun is out, to actually be inside and not boil to death. I can highly recommend these blinds if you want to have something that you want to connect to your smart home, but also if you just want to have a couple of blinds that looks good and you don't want to do that much maintenance. But it will be interesting to see how well they will fare in the Swedish winter and then back to the summer. That's going to be the most interesting part. And those are my favorite pieces of tech that I use on a day-to-day basis that I want to share with you. And I really hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, man, because love you for staying here all the way until this point of the video. Peter from Sweden saying goodbye.